Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the show where we wax poetic about the movies we see on a month-to-month basis. It's time to crack open our movie memoirs. Yes.
Woohoo!
September 2019. Oh boy. This definitely the weakest lineup that we've had since I would say maybe like February, arguably. Dragon, ask me how this month was.
How was this month, Tiki?
It's fine.
That's a little animated Batcave humor for the folks out there.
Yeah, Dragon. I don't know. I gotta say this month had a lot. It had some promising stuff, but stuff to say we'll get there when we get there. I don't know. I liked all the movies I saw. I didn't love any of them. That's the best way to sum it up.
Let's see.
All right. So, what do you think?
Overall, of course, I think we both had very light amount of movies this month collectively. It was very light, movie wise, but because it's very TV heavy a month for me though. Again, it's very much a lot of TV shows, there was a lot of watching, but it's not a lot of movies. However, the TV of the stuff I did catch, I mean, it was all pretty solid. I mean, nothing there obsessive, nothing really bad. Just it was some was basically I was some stuff was more impressive than others, but nothing, no clunkers. It was a solid month, a brief month, but a solid month all the same. I didn't get to see everything I wanted to see. You got to see something I really wanted to see. But unfortunately, limited releases sometimes are dangling carrots of hope that just escape you sometimes, and that's kind of the case I had. So yeah.
Yeah, I also I wanted to see Hustlers, and I probably would have saw that if it hadn't been for my trip, kind of right in the middle of the month. So I still kind of want to try and see that. I've been hearing some good buzz about it. But other than that, yeah, I pretty much saw everything that I had any inkling to want to see in theaters. All
There.
right, so I guess we should start with the movie news.
Yeah.
Let's kind of treat these as bullet points.
Sure. So a lot of big news did happen in September, though.
Yes.
All right, let's see. So for starters, the biggest news we got to talk about here, folks. Thwip, he's swinging back. Spider-Man is back in the MCU. Hooray!
Dragon, I don't know. I don't want to sound facetious here, but I kind of feel like the adult in the room. Like, yeah. Of course, mom and dad got back together. It's I don't know. Like, I don't even really consider this news. I just kind of consider it the way that Hollywood works sometimes. It's I like honestly, I just kind of thought this was inevitable. Don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that it happened, but it's not like shocking to me. It's like to me, it doesn't warrant a bunch of 30-minute video essays from every movie YouTuber on the planet. But I don't know. That's why I didn't want to do a standalone video about it. But Dragon, just to outline the deal, and correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if you've heard otherwise. But the deal as of now is, to my understanding, it's a 2-film deal. And we're going to get one more standalone movie, basically to round up the Home trilogy, as I like to call it. A far better trilogy than if DreamWorks would have made a series of Home movies. Anyways, thank God that's a franchise that didn't take off. Anyways. And then we're also going to get Spider-Man in a cameo or, like side appearance, whatever, in another MCU movie, presumably in Phase 4. And folks, what this is going to do, from my understanding, is it's basically going to be like, it's not like a permanent thing. And honestly, I do have faith in Sony to get the character right after Spider-Verse, and even after Venom to a certain extent. But basically, we're going to just, it's going to be, let's kind of round out Spidey's arc in the MCU. Let's kind of send him off properly and not have a situation where the last thing we see of Spidey in the MCU is a cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah, I believe so. Two things. So, one, I heard this recently. Apparently, Tom Holland, he was kind of key in helping Mom and Dad get back together. He kind of parent trapped them. Essentially, Tom Holland, he went to kind of the heads of kind of the two heads of the feud here again with of course the wonderful Kevin Feige and my nemesis Tom Rothman. Okay, no, it's a bit. I say that because Tom Rothman, very infamously, before he went over to Sony, he was a major player at Fox, and he's the guy who sewed Deadpool's mouth shut.
Right.
But at the end of the day, things worked out. So I say that half jokingly. The point being, Tom Rothman, I hear he's done some good, but let's be honest, he's done a lot of bad too. Point being, I don't want to. We already went over like the whole like who was at fault, Disney or Sony. I don't want to. Let's not go through all that. The point being, Tom Holland made like an impassioned plea to both guys, and essentially, some people they probably were going to do it anyway. But I think that was maybe. I'd like to think in my heart of hearts, maybe that pushed them together faster. Maybe you can look at it in the optimistic way of like, maybe Tom Holland's words stirred some emotion in the two men, the two studios. You know what? Let's put our differences aside, man. Let's come to an agreement because we can't do a disservice to Spider-Man, the great character that is. I mean, people love this kid. He's going to be coming to both sides. He's a victim in all this. Let's just give everybody what they want. Let's wrap up the third one and maybe give them like one more for the road. Just that maybe it's an Avengers movie, maybe it's just like a cameo in another movie. Who knows? Let's just maybe it's in the Fantastic Four. Fingers crossed. Who knows?
Oh man, that would be great.
Of course, there's also a little suspect that, of course, this news comes out right before the home video release of Spider-Man: Far From Home. So I don't know. Again, there's an optimistic way of looking, and there's kind of a money way of looking at things. So let's not look at it too deeply. The point being, good news: Spider-Man's back, and we get closure. Closure. And other thing, little side note. Of course, we do have a date confirmed for the third Spider-Man movie. That's kind of the thing people keep glossing over. We added another movie to the MCU's lineup. It's Spider-Man, the third Spider-Man movie is coming 2021. All right.
Spider-Man, home is where the heart is.
Or Spider-Man, no place like home. That's what I want him to call it.
Oh, yeah, no place like home. Yeah, that's my pet one.
Okay, anyway, so in other Marvel news, so again, speaking of returns, so this is a rumor, mind you. It's not like a confirmed or anything, but it's getting a lot of traction, and I could buy it. Tony Stark is supposed to come back from beyond the grave. No, he's not coming back to life, but he's going to be
Marvel zombies for real. It's not just a Mysterio illusion.
So seriously, Tony Stark's supposed to be in the Black Widow movie. He's supposed to make an appearance there, like a small cameo of sorts. Now I have a suspicion. Of course, this is a rumor. I don't imagine he'll have a major role. Optimistically, what I think they're going to be doing is doing like a link up at the very end. Like it'll try to redeem Iron Man 2 in a sense, where we're going to have the big meetup between Black Widow and between Natasha and Tony and Iron Man 2. That's what I think it's going for.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along, basically, maybe not that exact scene, but basically a build-up. Because I've seen some stories where, some tie-in stuff with the MCU, like some comics that kind of take place in between the cracks of, the movies and stuff in between the movies, where it's entirely possible. It's going to show a little bit of lead up there with Tony Stark,
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I just, I hope he doesn't have like a role as big as his role in Homecoming, but I doubt he will.
Exactly, and I mean, like, I will admit that there is a line we need to toe with Tony Stark, because this is like this seems to be the most concrete of the Tony Stark rumors, because another thing is that Tony Stark might be, if they do an Ironheart TV series, like on Disney+, nothing officially announced, of course, but if they do that, Tony Stark might have a role, I would optimistically say an archival role, like he's had pre-recorded messages to guide the young Ironheart, whoever she may be, whether it's going to be Morgan Stark or in the future or something, or if it's going to be kind of the traditional character who it is, who I'm not sure because I don't really follow the Ironheart stuff. But point being, I think there's a line we got to be cautious of with Tony Stark, because obviously if we bring him back too often, then we're not going to really miss him. And I fear if we do an archival thing, it's going to open up a big hole of like, well, you think Tony Stark might be the voice on the glasses if they were going to do that, Kind of a missed opportunity.
Also, if we do too many archival things, it's just like, how much time did Tony have to actually film all this?
The point being, there's definitely a line to draw there, but I feel if they just do like they bring back for Black Widow, and of course like that's another character who famously died in Endgame, it would be like we're making the most out of those two characters in one movie. We don't have to do
I
it
mean,
too often.
honestly, I could see them framing the entire marketing of Widow out of, like these two characters are no longer with us, so it's almost kind of like a funeral for these, like, iconic Phase 1 guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I could, the thing I could buy that. I'm just saying that I want to keep it to that, and I don't want to do it too often.
Mhm.
All right. So one other bit of Marvel news. Speaking of Disney Plus, a little bit, we have some Hawkeye news. The Hawkeye series, which of course that's kind of a passing of the torch in the story of that one. It's Hawkeye training his replacement in Kate Bishop, who we now have an actress for. Who is that actress, Tiki?
It's Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, no relation to the other Seinfeld. No, it's Steinfeld. I know, I'm just a little dumb joke there. Anyway, point being, Haley Steinfeld. Yes, of course. Some people might remember her for her voice work in Spider Verse. She is, she's Spider Gwen. A Ghost Spider. If you want to be all technical about things, Spider Woman. And it doesn't really semantics. Voices her, and of course we've seen her in live action and stuff like Bumblebee.
And also True Grit.
That's a better example. Yes.
I think her role in True Grit is definitely, it's going to be interesting because I feel like Kate Bishop is almost kind of like a more grown-up version of her role in True Grit.
Yeah.
So I think it's honestly perfect casting for as much as I know about the character, which is not a lot.
Point being, Haley Steinfeld, she's a good actress, and I get behind that pick instantly, and I think she's very solid casting. I'm sure she's going to be really good for that role. I'm passingly familiar with I read like the first volume of it. I'm not up to date on it, but it's a pretty good story. I think the Hawkeyes, we're going to be in for a really good season with that Hawkeye show.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. So let's get to Frozen 2's marketing, which, folks, we're not going to talk a lot about it because, frankly, I think it gives a little too much away. Now, Dragon, they have the official trailer, which I hope to God is the final trailer. If it's not the final trailer, I'm not touching another trailer after this. Dragon, I've been like, I was really hyped up about Frozen 2's teaser trailer. I honestly think it's one of the best teaser trailers that Disney's done in a long time. And honestly, I don't want to say the more I see from the movie, the less excited I am about it. But I will say that it's one of those situations where the mystique is kind of wearing off about it. It's like we're finding out more and more about Frozen 2 to the point where honestly I don't even want to watch the trailer for another time. The new trailer, I don't want to watch it for another time. I just I saw it once and I kind of felt like it was a situation kind of like Toy Story 4's trailer where I'm like, okay, that revealed maybe a little bit too much. It didn't reveal any spoilers per se, but still it's like I like the mystique of the movie, especially something like Frozen 2. And then, of course, they drop a song, and it's like presumably the big sequel to Let It Go. It's Elsa's big song. I don't think they dropped the whole song. They just dropped a minute of it. And I remember they did the same thing with You're Welcome from Moana. But the thing with You're Welcome is that it's kind of like more of a side song, so it's like, honestly, if they would have released like whatever Olaf song is going to be in Frozen 2, I probably would have watched it to check it out. But man, it's like I do not want the next Let It Go to be spoiled for me, Dragon. Like I want to have the experience of like whatever big ballad number they have to top Let It Go, and whether or not it does top Let It Go or not, we don't know yet. But it's definitely one of the big anticipated moments of Frozen 2. I don't want that spoiled for me. I don't want any of it spoiled for me. I don't want the song. I don't want what's happening visually. I want to be completely fresh on that. And it kind of bothers me that it's just out there. I don't know. What's your take?
Well, I think they're telling a lie. It didn't seem too spoilery to me, but it's definitely more story than we probably needed. I gotta tell you, it's a little bit more. It kind of opened my eyes more to, again, just kind of like what Frozen 2 is exactly going to be. Where some people are speculating it's going to be God, to quote the way Mike Coulter's Luke Cage says it, Godfather Part 2. It's gonna be. Sorry, I love the way he delivers that. Anyway, point being, Some people have said that Frozen 2 might be a Godfather Part 2 to Frozen, which, I mean, that's going to be interesting if they can pull that off. That's kind of like setting the bar really high, if you really think about it. I think what they're getting is, like, in the sense of it's continuing the story, but also something that could compete with the original. I guess part of me is kind of fearful that it might be all an action movie, which I don't think it's going to be. That's what the marketing's telling me, and this new trailer really kind of sung it. It's all action, 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 and compared to what we had with the teasers, kind of building up to that point with the mystery of it all. So, I don't know. I know it's. I think we're definitely, for putting out a song and everything. We're definitely they're trying to hedge it. That's a marketing play before. It's like it's a merchandising play before it's like for the good of the movie. It's like, let's get a song out there. Well, you know what, guys, let them wait for the songs. They're going to come, obviously, and they're going to enjoy.
I mean, like I said, Dragon, if it was Olaf's song or something like that, or maybe even like a new character song, I'd honestly be fine with it. I just think that like Elsa's song is kind of a big spoilery moment for me, if I'm being honest. Not in a plot sense, but just in a sense of like, I really want to see the direction they go with it. And I don't know, maybe I'm like the only person who cares about how Disney's going to try to top Let It Go, but I don't know.
Well, before we go any further, Donovan's been kind of hitting up the comments here, and I want to read it. He brings up some interesting stuff. I just want to kind of rewind a bit here and talk about some of his comments. Okay, so Donovan says, I heard the rumor that the third Spider-Man movie, whatever it may be, could be about the Sinister Six, could be about Daredevil, could be about Venom, possibly the Tom Hardy version. To respond to that, of course, out of those options, I think he's very much on the money. Of course, I think these are solid rumors in the sense of Sinister Six is a very distinct possibility. Again, just with the fact that the word's out on Spider-Man. Of course, we have that Vulture kind of hang in chat, especially if we're going to kind of cap it off with a trilogy. We should definitely we should definitely bring him back if we're capping it off at 3. Daredevil, I would be beside myself with the Daredevil thing. Oh God, I mean, maybe that extra appearance, we could do something with Daredevil and Spider-Man. I don't know. I mean, D'Onofrio wants to come back. D'Onofrio's trying to get Daredevil made in some way, shape, or form again. At the very least, bring D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox into the MCU. That's all I need.
That's all I need.
All I need. Please anyway. So there's, of course, I'd love that to happen. The mentioning Venom, I imagine that's going to be Sony's first play. I think they're just going to save that for when Spider-Man falls back to Sony. Doing something like that, be my guess. So I wouldn't expect it for the third movie. All right, let's see. So also he brings up, I was going to mention the Hawkeye stuff, but Haley. Haley isn't. He says that Haley isn't really confirmed. It sounded like she was really confirmed from what I heard, but maybe I heard wrong. Points like it sounds she's going to be in the show, but as an official role that she's going to be Kate Bishop. I saw she was going to be Kate Bishop. I don't know. Point being, she'll be in the show. I think smart money's on her being Kate Bishop if that isn't confirmed already. So, anyway.
All right.
Okay, next bit of news then.
Yes.
All right, Alan is coming back.
With friends.
Yes. Oh, so here's the thing, Dragon. Jurassic World 3, of course, the big news is that Goldblum, Alan Grant, a.k.a. Sam Neill, and Ellie Sattler, a.k.a. Laura Dern, are all going to be back in the sequel. Dragon, here's my thing. I am literally not getting myself excited about this because, A, they might very well pull a Force Awakens and not even have the three of them interact in the same movie. You realize that, right?
Well, the worst thing they could do is give her purple hair. That would just be the kiss of death right there.
But, oh God. But B, man, I am not convinced that they're going to get much screen time in the third movie. I mean, I want them to, and if the trailer comes out and it's like, it looks like that they're like the main characters of the movie, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be excited. Like, if the premise comes out and it's that they are like the focus, I'm going to be fucking stoked, Dragon. That's where my enthusiasm for Jurassic World 3 is going to come from, is if they really do craft a story that gets the three of them together again and in a major role. I'll be stoked. I will be stoked. I won't lie. It's kind of going to be like my equivalent to, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill. And, Disney, they kind of botched that. So if they, if they can get this together on Universal's end, I think that would be a plus for them. But like I said, I think the big issue that's kind of standing in the way of that is the fact that this franchise has built up the significantly less likable and interesting Owen and Claire, along with mutant whatever DNA Dino Girl. And I'm worried that the waters are going to get significantly muddied by the presence of this Dino Girl. I honestly feel like Dino Girl is kind of like an even more convoluted version of Jennifer in Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I honestly kind of wish they could just write her off.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
But of course, the pet theory, Dragon, the pet theory that I still hold dear in my heart is that Owen is the 6 foot turkey kid.
Yeah, the kid, basically the raptor scene from the opening of Jurassic Park. Yeah.
And if they do that, then it won't really redeem Claire at all from being a boring character. But my God, it'll go a long way towards making Owen a good character.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me put it this way. I imagine this. Imagine like Jurassic World 3, of course, after the short that was released recently. I guess we should probably mention that too. Again, without going, we already did a whole video on it. Point being, they did also Jurassic.
Battle at Big Rock was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Again, it does instill you with hope, and then we get this news, so it's like they're really building up kind of steam for like maybe the third one's gonna be really good. Maybe it's gonna be a good one. And I gotta be honest, this one, imagine this, like in Act 1 reestablishes what Battle of Big Rock does. We're in the new status quo. Maybe we set up again like Owen, and basically again they're stuck with the kid, and they're dealing with that. And I would imagine some people are going to be looking for that kid, given what's happened, and like, oh my God, this little girl, she unleashed all these dinosaurs, man. Regardless, what have you. I think, imagine this, like, the beginning of Act 2, like the end of Act 1, the transitioning to Act 2, Alan Grant finds Owen and Claire with the original three amigos in tow. It's Grant, Statler, and Ian Malcolm, like they're all coming there, and then we're kind of basically bring them to kind of help save the day or save the movie by getting into Act 2. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Yeah, I think it would be. Anywho, but yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think that'd be really neat. Personally, I think that would be just something. Sorry, folks. Let me try that sentence again. I kind of butchered that. My point is, it'd be really great. That'd be usher in the passing of the torch story. With Grant again. Grant having become a father with Sattler, and there's all that sort of stuff. Like imagining Laura Dern with the kid and everything could be really neat because we kind of set that up way back during there. I guess what I'm saying is I think we bring a great sense of closure and a great sense of the people that started all this and kind of warned about nature finds a way. That whole shebang just kind of come to a close where nature has found a way and it's bridged into our world, and all these events have happened in Jurassic Park. Like honestly, again, if they do this right, it could be like the great final Jurassic World movie done right. If done properly, if they bring these guys back, I think that's the way to look at it. But again, I think Tiki raises an absolutely valid point of again, it could just be like nostalgia fodder where it's like, hey, let's bring him back, like we brought Ian Malcolm back to basically do the best parts of the movie that go at the very end and all the stuff we won't do until we do Battle of Big Rock, apparently. So. Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of what we're dealing with. Also, Donovan Martin points out, I really hope this does what Star Wars couldn't do, honor the past. And yeah, absolutely, it could just kind of go the route of. It could very much go the route of a Last Jedi, where again, I'm not saying Last Jedi is the worst thing in the world. Does it kind of drop the ball with the Laura Dern stuff in that movie? Absolutely, but the point being, some people are very harsh in the direction of Star Wars. We'll see where that goes. Again, the point being, these third entries in these new trilogies seem to like they're kind of the hope of like let's redeem like an unfitting middle chapter in some circles. Of course, Fallen Kingdom was very much it gets worse with every rewatch for me. May not be the case for everyone with Jurassic House, as some people lovingly call it, but we'll see. We'll see. Absolutely. Anywho, all right, so enough Jurassic talk here, folks. Jurassic talk's starting to go extinct. Let's move on to Birds of Prey. Oh boy, Birds of Prey, man, I tell you. So Birds of Prey, or the fancy elongated title, if I can remember it, Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. It's convoluted and long. Just don't. But the point being, it's Birds of Prey. Of course, Birds of Prey being the kind of the super team, of Huntress, Cassandra Cain, and Oracle. The point being, they're kind of mixing up who's a member of the group here, so a little bit. So anyway. So, Birds of Prey, is, of course, going to be one of the next DC movies after Joker coming out. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for Wonder Woman. So I believe Birds of Prey is next, followed by Wonder Woman, if I'm remembering correctly. If not Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad, then Wonder Woman, whichever order that may be. Point being, Birds of Prey, it's a marketing mess, folks. I don't know what to tell you. First off, we have the poster. The poster just, God, the poster is not a good omen. Birds of Prey, like they've been teasing and leaking, quote unquote, some like new. It's like, oh boy, look at some new Birds of Prey footage. Where not really grabbing me, and then they release a poster, and this poster is basically the characters on the poster. Unfortunately, the characters do not look like the characters, with the exception of Harley Quinn. You can barely tell who's who. Like, if I didn't know Mary Elizabeth Winstead is playing Huntress, I wouldn't know based on that trailer. I mean, the only thing I know is, okay, girl with the crossbow, probably Huntress. You have to snuff out who's who. We have, Ewan McGregor in there as Black Mask, sans the mask. You see where I'm getting at here. We're kind of lacking the iconic stuff, and everybody essentially suffering from what I call kind of Ayers syndrome. I don't mean that in a complete slight to Suicide Squad, but what I mean by this is that it seems like DC, they're trying to see what sticks continuity-wise, and we're still trying to keep some Ayery stuff from Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad seems to be kind of ushering in the most spin-offs of everything here. Because Birds of Prey, basically, it's kind of the Harley Quinn movie with the Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn. Only difference is, she continues to be, everyone else seems to be kind of that Ayer. Everyone has that Ayer look going on about them, like very much kind of like the gritty, very much kind of like Homespun. We don't do like the big kind of like classic comic costumes. There's kind of very much kind of ragtag looking. In the way they look. Okay? It's basically the David Ayer style, even though he's not directing the movie. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on that. My point is, we seem to be landlocked, and I think that's doing a detriment to the movie. And we got a trailer recently, and that trailer, well, let me put it this way. The Harley Quinn movie looks not too shabby. The Birds of Prey movie, it's not so much. It's very much as Harley Quinn's movie, featuring a David Ayerized version of the Birds of Prey, which does not look that promising. It's going to be really iffy, folks. I think as a Harley Quinn movie, Margot Robbie seems to be, she's really comfortable in the character. We're doing some classic Harley Quinn stuff, like, she's broken up with the Joker. She's trying to go for a fresh start. Again, she's trying to emancipate herself from kind of the trailer opens with this really great line where Harley Quinn essentially means servant. And I love that. That's the thing, that the movie is in the right, perfect space for a Harley Quinn movie. That's got me. It feels very much kind of what we've been doing with Harley Quinn in the New 52 onward. I mean, that feels like really on the money. We're doing stuff like the pet hyenas. That's really cool. She's got a mallet, but looks like a pop gun. She's like a beanbag at a guy. It looks very much like the pop gun or some version of the pop gun. Like, we're doing all sorts of great Harley stuff, and she seems really great in the role. But everything else just seems kind of. It's a well-made trailer, but it's not a Birds of Prey trailer. I'm not saying as an uber Birds of Prey fan. I only know so much about that. I've seen them pop up here and there. Kind of Gail Simone's baby. I've read some good stories with them, but it's just like, why call it a Birds of Prey movie if all the focus is going towards Harley Quinn? The marketing knows Harley Quinn's going to be a big focus, but it's like you imagine you'd sell Birds of Prey on the Birds of Prey, right? Well, I'll tell you. What I can say is Black Mask, if he does not wear that mask for a good portion of that movie, I'm going to be ticked off, because, again, Ewan McGregor looks pretty good. It's good casting, but, again, give him the black mask. So simple. His whole shtick is that he wears the black mask. Honestly. And let me put it this way, folks. If there are any Cassandra Cain fans out there, Cassandra Cain being the other Batgirl, basically the reformed killer that turned into a Batgirl, is a really interesting character, kind of a very essentially, if she's not all meat, she's very Very rarely does she speak. Sandra Kane, good character, has a huge fan base. Like many people like her as Batgirl. Of course, Barbara going to Oracle. I like her as like the definitive Batgirl in some circles. People aren't going to be happy with this Cassandra Cain. She's kind of like kind of like the street girl, kind of going with Harley Quinn on a merry adventure. It seems like she's kind of like the I heard they've rewritten their character a little bit because they were going a little bit more adult with things with the story, and they kind of scaled that back. Let me put it this way: just Cassandra Cain fans, they are not going to be happy with her in this movie based on these trailers. Anywho, let's move on to something that I think we can all get behind. The new Suicide Squad movie. Oh my goodness. I am very excited for the new Suicide Squad movie. Of course, the Suicide Squad is a premise. I'm always in the bag for Suicide Squad. I can't really explain why. It's just one of those great concepts. It's kind of based off the old Dirty Dozen approach. It's the old adage of let's take a ragtag group of characters who again aren't necessarily our heroes, but let's just put them together in kind of a heroic situation. Again, I've always been in love with that concept, and honestly, it's like you have to do something really wrong to get the Suicide Squad wrong. I mean, of course, Assault on Arkham to me is kind of the benchmark of what to do with the Suicide Squad movie. It's the animated film. Even the Suicide Squad movie we did get, imperfect as it is, really just kind of falters with the villain plot. Everything else is pretty, it's workable, it's solid, enough. I mean, just the logic issues all arise with that villain plot, and just those villains in themselves, and the fact that we don't have a Joker performance, we have a pache of a Joker performance that I can't form any opinion on that character with. And Jared Leto had done all that stuff for nothing. Mark my words, had Jared Leto delivered a good performance, people would have forgiven all the crazy stuff he did getting into the role. That's kind of the world we live in. Anyway. Point is, James Gunn directing and writing Suicide Squad. A lot of James Gunn players are involved, and James Gunn is going to be amping down all the Suicide Squad kind of hype and marketing of everything. But right now, what he has done is he's basically announced the entire cast, if not a large portion of the. I don't know if it's the entire team of the Suicide Squad, but the point being is he's announced a whole lot of people are going to be in the movie, and it's a great cast. I won't go through every single. He basically announced 24 people on a poster. It's so sad to me that Birds of Prey gets a poster and it's a disaster. Yet Suicide Squad gets one, Suicide Squad 2 gets one, and it's just names on a poster. Yet I'm so much more interested. I'm so much more hyped than I am for Birds of Prey. It's kind of sad when you really think about it. Anyway, so Suicide Squad. We have of course the returning. Basically, everybody. Will Smith has confirmed the return. Like Viola Davis, Joel Kinnaman, Margot Robbie, Jai Courtney. All three have made it. Basically. Yeah, your hallmarks of the squad are all there. Your Captain Boomerangs, your Harley Quinn, your Rick Flags, your Amanda Waller are all there. It's very questionably that Deadshot's not going to be there, and I know some people are probably going to assume Idris Elba is going to be Deadshot. I will remind you they announced that, then they kind of reneged. It was assumed, and then they reneged on that, saying Idris Elba is not confirmed to play Deadshot, which doesn't bother me. It just bothers me more if we're not going to have a Deadshot in the movie, because Captain Boomerang and Deadshot are kind of the hallmarks of the Suicide Squad. You need those, especially Deadshot. Deadshot's kind of the leading man of the Suicide Squad in most if not all versions. So it's going to be really weird if we don't get him in some way, shape, or form. I speculate another cast member is going to be Deadshot, but we'll see. I mean, if Alba was Deadshot, it'd be fine. I just think kind of squandering his talents, because Idris Elba, I imagine we want to get like a bigger role for the guy, like a Green Lantern or something, or I don't know. But I don't know. Anyway, so let's see. So we have Michael Rooker, of course. James Gunn's kind of his John Ratzenberg, if you will. He's going to be in the movie. Dave DeSmulchin, he's been in Gotham. He was Schiff Thomas in The Dark Knight. He's one of the buddies from Ant-Man, the foreign buddy in Ant-Man. He's going to be the Polka Dot Man, which is just a corny Batman villain that I'm sure is going to be really fun. James Gunn getting his hands on him. James Gunn likes to play it really kind of likes to go really deep with the comics, likes to get really kind of weird and really kind of off the wall with things, and it's worked out pretty well for him so far. Let's see. Then we have Ratcatcher. Of course, Ratcatcher. It's a fun character. They kind of switch the gender on this character. Again, it's a no-name enough character. It doesn't really hurt anything. Ratcatcher could be really fun. It's kind of a crazy rat lady in this case, it seems. Peter Capaldi, one of the Doctor Who's, the older Doctor Who's, he's going to be in it. I have no idea what he's going to play. We have Steve Agee, or Aggie, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Point is, that guy, he was Jeff in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He was like the, do you want to eat him? Talking to the guy with the beard who was like, he's so cute, and he's so cute to eat, Jeff. That whole exchange with Taserface. That guy is going to be playing King Shark, and of course was in Assault on Arkham, and I loved him in Assault on Arkham. So King Shark is going to be in the movie, so that's a win right there.
wow, remind me never to accidentally fucking press the airplane mode button on my keyboard ever again, Dragon.
Please don't push that button ever again. So, did you have any, just to go over, I already said all my piece on Birds of Prey. Did you have any thoughts on Birds of Prey?
I mean, honestly, it's one of those situations where I think it's like a decent looking trailer. I don't know what everyone's kind of getting their I hear people like saying like, oh, it's a terrible trailer, it looks awful, and I'm like, I thought it looked good enough. I don't know. I think it's interesting that Harley Quinn's the main character. I mean, it kind of gets me excited given the just giggle it of it all. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more optimistic about it than most people seem to be, I
I
guess.
think it's going to be a good Harley Quinn movie, but it shouldn't be called a Birds of Prey movie. That's where I'm at on it.
Well, you see, I don't know enough about the comics to know about the whole Batwoman thing. So yeah.
Well, neither do I, but it's just the fact of, like, again, we're just like, what? It's like the Birds of Prey, just they're barely characters in the movie that's named the Birds of Prey, then in parentheses, Harley Quinn, you know?
Right. It should just be called like the Emancipation of Harley Quinn, whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I'm sold in the Harley Quinn movie, just everything else is just really, like, really deselling me. It's like, oh, man, because it's a good-looking trailer if it's about Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anywho, Suicide Squad. We're kind of going over like the big cast poster, kind of name dropping a few of the really impressive ones. Like we're getting King Shark finally, played by one of the guys from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Not Taserface Donovan, different guy, like the other guy Taserface was talking to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't. The biggest one for me is shit. What's
Rooker?
his name?
Taika
Yeah,
Waititi?
Rooker. Yeah. Rooker.
Oh yeah, Rooker. Of course, the good luck charm for James Gunn. He's going to be in it, and also Taika Waititi is going to be doing a voice for a character. I don't know if he's going to be in it or he's going to be doing a voice. I think it's a voice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. Okay, one more big one. Nathan Fillion, of course, another stable from James Gunn. And of course, he's old friends with Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion's kind of been in most, if not all, of his movies. And big thing, some people are speculating as to who he could play. Now, I already mentioned earlier, the jury's out on if Idris Elba is going to be playing Deadshot or not, or what the deal is, or Will Smith's just holding out for some reason. I have no idea. But in perfect world, I love it if Nathan Fillion played Deadshot for me. I think that'd be great. However,
That'd be interesting.
some people speculate because I think he'd be perfect for Deadshot. I think Nathan Fillion's good in a lot of things, but another thing, he's played a character for years. Some people would love to see in live action, which James Gunn is entirely possible he could do this. The man answered the age-old Stan Lee question, in his cameo for that one. He made Stan Lee finally the man who's in all the movies. So it's entirely possible. There's a chance Nathan Fillion could be Green Lantern in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really cool. Anyway, so of course, Pete Davidson, John Cena. We already covered the important ones. Anyway, so Point Suicide Squad 2, I'm very hyped for. Are you excited for it?
Not as excited. I don't know. I'm still kind of burned by the first movie, so we'll see.
It is in better hands, though.
It is.
All right. Okay, let's move on to, so again, we cover all the news. Do you want to cover the George Lucas thing at all, or should we just move on?
Not really. I don't even Star Wars fandom is just fucking toxic as hell at this point. I don't really care.
Oh yeah, let's just move on to the TV stuff. Let's talk some TV, my friend.
All right, so folks, I want to have finished the show by now, but my God, it is just it is very dense and very complex, and I just need to take notes on it. That is the Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. It's one of those shows where it's I feel like I really need to be zoned in and paying attention to it to even begin to get it. I mean, I know it's not that complicated of a story, but just the way they present it, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm saying they take it super seriously, and not just that, but also just the puppetry, Dragon, the puppetry in the show. I mean, for my money, for what it's worth, it might be the most impressive puppetry I've ever seen on film.
That it is. It is. Oh, it's a blast from the past of quality. It really is.
Yeah, so, I mean, the thing with the Dark Crystal that I've never really attached to, it's not my favorite Henson project, I will admit that, is I really don't like the characters. I find the characters to be a little bland, per se. Not necessarily the Skeksis, more the other ones. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on what they're called.
Oh, the Skeksis and the Mixed Mystics, right?
Well,
the specific species,
Oh,
like
the
the
Gelfling?
Skeksis. Yeah,
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
Gelfling. That's it.
So
That's
there's
it. Yeah.
Gelfling, there's Skeksis, and there's Mystics. Those are the three races.
I'm thinking of Gelflings. I really don't like the design of the Gelflings, and I find that they have a pretty bland personality overall. And so that's one of the things I'm struggling with this new show.
Hmm.
I don't know, but production values are totally through the roof. And like I said, it's definitely got a dense mythology to it. I'm definitely enjoying all the Skeksis stuff the most out of anything so far.
Oh yeah, it is the best part. I would argue it's the best part. It's a lot. It's really cool. So
Mhm.
basically, I gotta tell you, Dark Crystal for me. So I finished it, but obviously, you and Donovan have not finished the show. So I'm gonna skirt around some things here. But let's just overall, Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. It's kind of it's a Henson-y version of Better Call Saul in regards to a prequel show in some aspects. It really is. In that it's very well constructed. It's fleshing out the world, not really it's not really contradicting anything. It's very dense, as we've mentioned. So again, basically, you get your hours worth, my friend. You do. It's very dense, super dense. But it all links up tremendously well. It all links up tremendously well. I think Mark Hamill and Simon Pegg, they are tremendous in the show. They're some of our Skeksis actors, and they're doing a great job. Taron Egerton also is kind of our lead Gelfling. He's pretty good as well. I got two issues though. I will say this, and these are not like bad issues. These are just kind of issues in terms of my expectations going into it. It's not a one shot like I thought it was going to be. Let me put it this way, folks. I would be hopeful that this gets another season.
Okay.
I don't think it's confirmed, but I mean I hope it's confirmed because let me put it this way: you're not going to get all the answers. You're going to want it's definitely it's a great season. It's just I expected an ending to this season. I was kind of I'm not saying I was let down, but I didn't know. I assumed that it wasn't getting another season. But basically, if it doesn't get another season, it won't be the end of the world. But it's gonna be oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The other thing is hopefully it's basically had I known that, given the fact that it's not like all going to be a one and done like a mini series. In hindsight, it probably could have been a shorter season. That's not.
Yeah, I've been hearing that. Yeah.
It's not to say it's like it's like boring or anything, or like it's drawn out, but it's the fact that if they're not going to be like a direct ending within one season of television, they probably could have kind of probably sparsed it out a little bit more than they did.
All right.
I'll say that much. All right, so let me get some TV stuff I watched out along with Dark Crystal, I guess. So let's see. There's Working Moms. You ever hear about this show, Tiki?
Can't say that I have.
Working Moms is it's on Netflix. So basically, I heard of this show. I assumed it was always on Netflix, but apparently it's a recent thing. So Working Moms was a show. It's on Canadian Netflix.
Okay.
It finally came to the U.S. So basically, it's Catherine Reitman, the other Reitman. So again, we have Jason Reitman making the new Ghostbusters, and we have the sister who's a comedian, she's really funny. She has in real life she's had children, she's had a baby, and basically this show's kind of it's kind of based on her real life here, where basically she it's kind of it's about a working mom with and her friends. Like they're all working moms. It's about kind of a cast of working moms, and they're all some of them have postpartum, some of them are returning to the workforce. It's like a really varied experience, like what the working mom goes through. Like what about a mom who works at home as a therapist? What about a mom who's again kind of suffering postpartum? What about a mom who's in the case of the Catherine Reitman character, who's just kind of going back to work, but again trying like right after she had a baby a little while ago. So it's kind of about all the stresses, and it's kind of based off her experience. That's really Tika, I'll tell you, it's way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be okay, but it was great, man. It's these are beautifully flawed characters. Again, from all walks, they're very interesting. I don't know if it's going to be everybody's cup of tea, but it's definitely not. It's not a family show. I'll put you that way. It can get very dirty at times, but it's kind of like what if Sex in the City was good? That's kind of what it is, It's like what if it was good? My favorite
a question
part
that mankind has pondered for decades.
My favorite aspect of it, they do these mommy and me classes, and basically, I love the character who runs the mommy and me. I like the kind of the main kind of the woman who runs the mommy and me class. She's my favorite. She's one of my favorite characters in the show. She's great. These are great. It's kind of like a blue collar version, like the mom's getting around the water cooler and kind of talking about their issues. It's really fun. Mm-hmm. I'll put you this. I think the pilot's going to say the pilot has a really great sell at the end of it. I think you're really gonna. if you've ever watched it, I don't think it's a major push to watch it, but it's a solid show. I think it'll get you hooked. It's like 3 seasons. I think it's like, I forget if it's 10 or 12 episodes a pop, but it's like a half-hour show. It's really, they're 20 minutes, like a little over 20 minutes per show. It's really good.
All right.
That brings us on really quickly to mention here my third show. I finally buckled down. I finally kind of binged Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Yeah, this must have been a long binge, right? There's a lot of seasons of this.
6 seasons, but you got to remember, it's like 20. It's like under 20 minutes an episode, like about 20 minutes or so an episode. It's based on an online show. Basically, Jerry Seinfeld did this internet show. I believe it was released on Crackle, and Netflix picked it up, and now the episodes get produced through there. It's I was on a comedy binge given all the stand-up this month, and I just figured, why not?
This was a very strong month for stand-up. I'll give it that much.
That kind of inspired me to finally, check out Comedians in Cars. And honestly, it was that, and I kind of watched one of the episodes online. I didn't know it was like a full episode. I thought it was like a piece of an episode, the Seth Rogen episode, because I got the long shot on home video recently. So I was rewatching. I'm on a Seth Rogen movie, and I got also This Is Us. I was not darn it, not This Is Us. This Is the End. God, This Is the End. I was on a Seth Rogen.
Much different product, Dragon. Much different product.
Much different. Point being, of course, Seth Rogen's producing some really great television, Preacher, and of course, The Boys. I was on a Seth Rogen kick. Anyway, so I watched it, and point being, it's Jerry Seinfeld. It's really great comfort TV. I highly recommend this to you in regards to, you've also gotten on a comedy kick with our coverage of Just Giggle It, your improvisations and so on and so forth. I think this would be really up your alley. It's like a 20-minute show.
It's honestly something I have meant to check out when, like the next time I get sick, Dragon.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but it's true. It's like the next time I get sick, I'll have like some comfortable, this is just a nice, like, kind of turn your brain off kind of, I don't know. That honestly sounds nice. Just kind of like, like sitting in bed with a cold, but getting comforted by the voice of Jerry Seinfeld. Just telling these stories,
like this and Frasier. That should be your sick regiment right there.
Of course, my go-to sick regiment in the past has always been Andy Griffith.
True. Point being, basically every episode, kind of the format's like, Jerry Seinfeld picks a car that mirrors the guest that he's about to have. He has like a really cool car that he either rents or I love to think he owns them all. He probably just rents them, a few of them. He rents a few of them from a car museum or something. Point being, he has a new cool car every episode at the start of it. So that's for the car guys out there. But then we go for like a meal and we have a conversation about comedy in some way, shape, or form. On the whole, I really do love the show. I really think it's great. It's absolute comfort TV in the best of ways. I will say this: there are two issues. One, I think it's weirdly out of order. If you ever wanted to watch them chronologically, kiss that dream goodbye, my friend, because they're all mixed up. They're all mixed and matched. One other thing, it always bothers me when he strays from the comedy guests, because sometimes he'll go to, like, he has Obama on for an episode. Like, he's not even remotely tied to comedy. Come on, man.
Right, yeah.
He's just there because the show got popular and he wanted to be on that show. You know it. I think mostly it's comedians, sometimes like a comedy actor. So there's some wiggle room there. But I mean, Obama shouldn't be on that show. It's not a bad episode. It's like he doesn't.
Yeah, to hell with Obama.
Oh, let's not take it there. Anyway, it is funny that they try to go when they did that Obama episode. They try to they go to a different coffee place in New York or wherever the location is. Usually it's New York, because Jerry Seinfeld's very local in New York. Lives there. I mean, I believe he lives in L.A., but they go to New York often because of the Seinfeld connection, all that sort of stuff. But point being, Obama was in office at the time they shot this, so Obama he can't leave the White House. They wouldn't let Jerry Seinfeld drive off the president in a car, so they have to get coffee inside the White House. It's kind of funny.
Oh man!
All right, that brings us to the end of the TV stuff.
All right, what time is it, Dragon?
Lineup time.
It's playtime.
Right. Sorry. Yes, it's playtime. I have the wrong thing in front of me right now. Sorry about that. It's
playtime. All right. So I'm just going to be super quick about this, folks. I saw 2 plays this month, and both of them were very, very good. I saw a production of Eureka Day at Spreckles in Roanoke Park. This is actually the second production of this play ever. The first production was in Berkeley last year. And Eureka Day, Dragon, it's kind of a social political think piece comedy about the vaccination debate. And I got to tell you, I loved it. They did a really good job of, letting you side with both sides of the debate equally. Like the vaccination and the anti-vaccination. Like they do. Like in terms of the anti-vaxxers, there is like a very, very strong character motivation for one of the characters being an anti-vaxxer. So, they don't make anyone on any side seem crazy or anything. They do a very good job balancing that. And the main reason I saw it was because of an actor named Jeff Cotier. Now, Dragon, I saw Jeff Cotier. He's a local actor, of course. I saw him in a production of To Kill a Mockingbird. He was Atticus Finch. And I got to tell you, Dragon, I loved him as Atticus, but I think I might have liked him in this role even better because he basically kind of plays like a neurotic private school teacher. And it's right away that this guy's really good with kids, but he's not so good with adults. And suffice to say, that leads to an amazing end of Act 1 meltdown from him. And it's a sight to behold. It's comedic brilliance, and it's also just great acting. So, yeah, I loved Eureka Day. And then also a little revival that's been causing a bit of controversy in the theater world is the Pasadena Playhouse production of Little Shop of Horrors, which I got a chance to see. And Dragon, I don't want to talk too much about this because we already talked about it during our trip report. But suffice to say, it is the best production I have ever seen in my life. It beats Hamilton. I love the crap out of this thing. There's a lot of aesthetic choices that I love. I don't want to get into it too much. They make the play a lot darker. They set it in kind of like a more real world Skid Row. So there's a lot more emphasis on kind of like the dramatic method acting to give everything kind of more of a dramatic heft. But man, I think that works super well. They have a design aesthetic for Audrey 2, where Audrey 2 only turns giant in Seymour's imagination, but that leads to a lot of like really vibrant visual puppetry that kind of like there's no limits to what you can do with the puppetry with the imagination aesthetic. And just, overall, the cast is fantastic, very, very inclusive. The woman who plays Audrey is actually trans, which I think is really cool, and she was on Luke Cage in a minor role. So Kevin Chamberlain plays the shop owner who was also the wacky uncle in Wonder Park, but he's also an esteemed Broadway actor. So yeah, I love the crap out of Little Shop of Horrors. I was expecting to like it, and it ended up being probably the best production I've ever seen of it. All right, now we get to the lineup, Dragon. Now we get to the lineup. So It Chapter 2 was probably the single event movie of September. And Dragon, I like It Chapter 2 a lot. I think it's got a lot of good qualities to it. I honestly think Pennywise in It Chapter 2 is a lot scarier. I think he's a lot less memeable and a lot more intense in It Chapter 2. And I think that they definitely have some really cool sequences in it. And of course, the incomparable Bill Hader. Dragon, Bill Hader is he's fucking, like, you expect Bill Hader to be good in everything he's in at this point. But man, Bill Hader, he didn't have to be as good as he is in this movie, Dragon. I'll put it this way. It's like, you get the feeling that Bill Hader just went out of his way to be good, extra good in this movie, because that's just the kind of actor that Bill Hader is. His character is fantastic. And Dragon, I know you're not a horror movie guy, but much like how I recommended the first movie in terms of just kind of being like a cool Stranger Things style coming of age story, I very much recommend Chapter 2 just for the Bill Hader performance. If you can fast forward through the scary parts or whatever, it's well worth it for Hader's performance. Now, I think the biggest issue with Chapter 2 is the structure of it. There's way too many flashbacks. They rely way too heavily on the kids. The kids get way too much screen time. When honestly, I think the actors who played the adults really sell it. I honestly don't think they were confident. I don't think they were as confident as the adult cast as they should have been, because the adult cast they get is great by and large. across the board. So the fact that it's like the scenes really start to get repetitive, it's kind of like a formulaic movie. And the first one was pretty formulaic as well. And I will say that it does drag. Like, you really feel the 3 hours. And by the end of it, you're just kind of like, okay, Pennywise just really ridiculously malformed at this point, and it's kind of silly, and the ending's kind of underwhelming. But it's still a worthwhile investment, if only for Hader. And like I said, Pennywise is more intense in this version. So I still liked it a lot. It's not what it could have been.
Let me ask you 2 things. All right.
Okay.
Okay. One, how was the whole mirror scene?
Oh, very good. Very good.
Good, good. Okay. Secondly, did he turn to a giant spider at the end?
He kind of turns into this weird, like, half spider, half crab mutant thing. So no, it's not a verbatim giant spider.
Maybe John Peters just maybe John Peters just saw the It TV movie, and that's why he became obsessed with the giant spider. Maybe it just terrified himself.
I will say this much, Dragon. There is rumors that they're going to be doing a re-edited version of It with essentially both parts. And if they do that, then I assume that they'll just edit in the flashback stuff from It Chapter 2 back into Part 1 in chronological order. And honestly, Dragon, if they do that, I think it would make the Chapter 2 stuff a lot more palatable. Because I honestly think by far the biggest issue with Chapter 2 is the fact that they keep cutting to the flashbacks, and it ruins the pace and it drags things out longer than it should be. So I am really curious to see a final, like a master cut of just the entire It saga. I would definitely watch the hell out of that if it ever came to fruition.
Would you support this rumored It Chapter 3?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Dragon, I did not actually get a chance to watch this next one, mostly because I have heard like kind of mediocre things, and I didn't really want to sully my opinion on the original. But you saw Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island.
Yeah, apparently alone, but yes, I saw Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island. Literally like that, hey, let's do this together, and like, yeah, and then leaves me hanging. All right.
Yep.
Yet again, it's Dumbo all over again. Thankfully, it's not as bad as Dumbo. So, seriously, this movie, this was definitely, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. It was like continuing what I'm liking about the new Scooby-Doo movies. We have a great cast built in there. It's the same lineup, that we had on Batman Brave and the Bold, and the Scooby-Doo, Batman Brave and the Bold meets Scooby-Doo, that whole thing, and the Supernatural crossover. It's the same grouping of actors. So I'm loving this new bunch of the Scooby Gang. It's definitely a reflective. We're definitely at the reflective milestone years for Scooby-Doo. We've reached 50 years of Scooby-Doo's. Definitely, we're getting to the reflective era. Like Batman hit the reflective era. We're doing like stuff like Lego Batman to reflect on where we've been with Batman over all the years. That's kind of where we're at Scooby-Doo, it would seem. Essentially, this movie is kind of like a meta sequel, referencing the original a lot. Of course, is it anywhere as good as the original Zombie Island? No, but then again, who can be? I mean, original Zombie Island's really good. That's kind of Scooby-Doo's fantastic.
It's a landmark.
Some would argue it's Scooby-Doo's fantastic.
It is Scooby-Doo's Phantasm. I would definitely argue that.
I do like The Witch's Ghost as well, though. It's a solid one, too.
Witch's Ghost is good, and it has a great Tim Curry performance.
It does. That it does. Anywho, so, of course, the wonderful John Michael Higgins, he is in this movie as well. Essentially, the plot, is the Scooby Gang, Shaggy's he basically wins a contest. Shaggy wins a contest to go to an island that is very identical to Zombie Island, but he's basically sworn the Scooby Gang after he had another misadventure. He sworn them all, practically made him sign a contract or something. Basically made him sign like, we're no mystery stuff. You're going to go on vacation. No, basically. So let me rephrase it. The premise is this. Here's the better sell of the premise. So essentially, the Scooby Gang. They're kind of retired. That's where the story starts. They've been retired, but the sheriff told them to retire. Essentially, not like not like a mean way. Just kind of told them to retire and just kind of live their lives as kids and everything. Like, guys, you're teenagers, so you go live your lives. Don't worry about the
Right,
mystery
right.
solving or anything. It's been quiet anyway.
You've
So,
been
so
teenagers for 50 years, guys. Come on.
essentially, it's like high school all over again. It's like TV high school everywhere all over again. Anyway, no, so basically, Shaggy then uses this opportunity to basically swear them all like, okay, guys, no mysteries, nothing. So then, as he signs them, then Shaggy wins a contest to go to an island, which is clearly Zombie Island, but they're in denial. And basically, the Scooby Gang throughout the whole course of the movie, at least getting at the start of things, are like very
How
much.
would they be in denial about it being Zombie Island?
No, that's the funny. No, here's the thing, D. Here's the thing. They know it's Zombie Island, but again, for Shaggy's sake, they're like saying like,
Okay, that's fun. That's fun.
so
Okay, I like
Shaggy and
that.
they're basically they're in denial where they're not buying. Basically, they're not reading into the obvious stuff that's staring them all in the face. Where again, basically they're like the mystery gang, with the exception of Shaggy and Scooby. They're like addicts, as in they want to solve a mystery so badly, but they can't because
Oh God!
because
So
they
it's
made
like the Johnny Bravo Scooby Doo gang.
not maybe not that far, but it's the idea like they want to solve the mystery, but they can't because they made a promise to the Shaggy, and they're all very much in denial on the fact of like no, there's nothing wrong here.
All right, you know what? I need to check this out. This premise, I don't care about the mediocre reviews. This premise sounds really fun.
That's what I'm saying. So overall, the movie is really fun. John Michael Higgins, who of course he seems to be a regular player. He played the Riddler in the Brave and the Bold crossover. So he seems to be really they like using John Michael Higgins. Who wouldn't? Because he's a great actor. He's a great voice actor, especially. So he has a fun role as a director. Else I won't tell you too much about it now. You're gonna watch it, but let's just say it's a lot of fun. There are a lot of again because of all this stuff. They're clearly on Zombie Island. There's a lot of meta references to it, and I'll admit there's a few things that well, mainly with Velma.
I think I need to rewatch Zombie Island as well before I watch this. It sounds like
they do recap it in the movie though, so just in case, they do recap events.
But I mean, are you saying like I don't think I'd be able to pick up on some of the Easter eggs though?
Probably
because it's been a while.
Yeah, you probably want to watch. It'll make a good double feature. Just man, the first one's going to top the first one. It'll make a fun it's a fun reverential kind of thing to Zombie Island. So so the point being, we're at the very kind of the reflective era of Scooby Doo, and we're kind of doing that with Zombie Island. That's pretty much the gist of it. It's solid. It's fun enough. I think it kind of keeps going after a certain ending, but it's like doesn't keep going to a bad direction. Say, okay, we're just keeping it going. It's doing it kind of feels like a little bit of two movies in one, but two fine movies in one. So
Okay.
All
right. So I saw Abominable, and it was fine.
Yeah, I had a feeling it looks just kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad DreamWorks movie by any means. It's weird because Brad Jones kind of feels the same way I do about it. He got the same vibe, which is that I love the villains in this movie, Dragon. The villains in this movie are a lot of fun. There's this one billionaire guy that kind of goes through a little bit of an Anton Ego style arc and learns to change his ways. And then there's like an evil zoologist character who's like pretending to be she's like pretending to be like nice and caring about the animals, but really she's evil and cutthroat. And honestly, they do a lot of good gags with these villains. They're a great kind of villain pair. They're easily the best part of the movie. And then we get to the main storyline, and it's just kind of like, there's not really a lot going on there, Dragon. It kind of feels like another version of the Jungle movie premise that we saw in the Dora the Explorer movie of like, hey, look, it's these urban kids, and we're gonna send them on on an adventure in the jungle. And frankly, by the third time we've got into that, Dragon, and we always have like the prim and proper character, and then the character who's kind of like embracing the jungle. I'm sick of this at this point, Dragon. I feel like the school kids in the jungle is kind of becoming a cliche at this point. But anyways, it's not the jungle; it's the Himalayas, so it's different. But
would
it's still
you
like
say somewhere in the Himalayas?
Yes. All right, but I mean, like, I think first of all, the design of Everest, the main character Yeti, is just not a very inspired design at all. I don't like. I don't know. Like, there's just something about the design that just doesn't really stick with me. I do think that the main character, I forget her name, but she is pretty well developed. She has a decent arc. I do like that she's a hard worker and she's saving up to travel. I find that very relatable, Dragon, like on a fundamental level to how I'm living my life right now. So that was cool. That was cool. The little kid character is basically like a copy and paste of Russell from Up. So I didn't really get anything out of him. He kind of could have been cut out of the whole movie and it wouldn't have changed. And just by and large, the whole thing just feels like a very predictable kind of like E.T. style story. So yeah, it's like I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's kind of right there in the middle for me. It didn't really let me down, but it didn't really thrill me either.
Like, would you recommend it for me, or?
Well, honestly, not really.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Of course, just to mention it for novelty's sake, here at Donovan. Donovan loved this movie.
Yeah, well, Donovan, I mean, subjectivity and all that. I'm glad that you got a lot out of it. It's been getting pretty decent reviews. Like I said, I mean, I like it. And Dragon, it's like if you want to just check it out to see like a good DreamWorks movie before we enter what is presumably a dark era for DreamWorks. Like if you want to cleanse your palate with a DreamWorks movie that is at least definitively good, then yeah, I'd give it a shot.
Right.
I would say it's worth it for the villain stuff alone. The villain stuff is great comedy writing.
All right. Again, I know I'm just completely how they marketed this one because it was everywhere, but at the very last minute. I don't know if that's the best tactic, especially basically all the marketing for the Abominable looked like it was a very forgettable DreamWorks movie to me. Just I don't know, something just exuded that with me.
Right.
It didn't really jump out to me like, oh man, I gotta check out Abominable. Because initially, when it was just announced, like, okay, DreamWorks has another movie, I think I'll check that out. And there was nothing in it for so long, and then it just kind of pops up one day. Oh, this is Abominable. Looks like it's a straight-to-TV DreamWorks movie. And I say that with DreamWorks before they're about to sully themselves with this new Dragons thing they're doing. Previously, DreamWorks had a really great track record with their TV stuff, but I don't know. It'd be a dark era we're entering.
Dragon, I want to make one thing clear. I mean, this is not a home situation. I mean, this is a perfectly good movie.
That's good to hear. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, there's really nothing in this movie I dislike. There's just also nothing in this movie that I really found actively engaging. Like I said, besides the fact that the main character is like a hard worker who's saving up to travel. Like, I did find that a very endearing character trait. Other than that, it's kind of just a blasé movie for the most part for me.
Okay.
All right. So tell me about Untouchable, Dragon.
So Untouchable, the full title is Untouchable, I believe the full title is Untouchable, The Rise and Fall of Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I remember this, I'm always on the prowl for a good documentary. I remember they teased up some...
I was literally in Hollywood going to Universal Studios the day that Harvey Weinstein went down. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, it was really trippy. Because I remember that. I thought it was a much smaller thing. I thought it was mostly Harvey Weinstein said some nasty stuff to some people, and I realized, oh God, it's even worse than that.
Yeah.
Remember, he insulted Haley Atwell. I thought, oh man, darn you, Harvey Weinstein.
God.
Insulted poor Haley Atwell, but it was much worse than that. It was terrible. Anyway, point being, I remember during the festival circuit, they teased some documentaries, which I was able to kind of cross 2 out of the major 3, off the list this month, kind of seeing finally. So Untouchable was one of them. It was on Hulu. I believe it's a BBC documentary, I believe. That they ended up, I don't know if it was like a deal with Hulu or a part of Hulu original. The point being, they distributed it through Hulu. That's how I saw it. Anyway, so this is, it's well made. It's well made. It's not exactly a doc you can dance to, so to speak. It's it's a bit of a downer, but no seriousness. It's it has some really great intense stories, kind of told from basically, you sit down with women who were kind of assaulted by Weinstein or accosted by him, and they kind of tell a riveting story. They use some really well kind of found clips and stuff. Of course, they don't have the clips for the events themselves, but it's riveting storytelling. That's all. That to me, that's a mark of a good documentary. You can have just someone in front of you telling you a story, and you can be transported there with them describing the story.
Yeah, that is a mark of a good documentary. I'll agree.
There's definitely a conspiracy vibe in that some things happen, some remarkable stuff happened that were just like really these public events of Harvey Weinstein doing some bad stuff and it never appearing in a paper because he had that under
Mhm.
lock and key. Like for example, he literally there was I believe like a journalist or somebody, point being a friend of a woman who was kind of assaulted by him, and this friend basically either recorded Harvey Weinstein. I think he just recorded him basically saying some bad stuff or something. And basically Harvey Weinstein like literally wrestled the guy. He tried to he wrestled the guy and tried beating him up to get the thing back in front of a crowd full of people, and yet nothing in the papers the
Oh,
next
wow.
day. Nothing.
Hmm.
There's this really terrifying thing where there's this woman who can only she has like a sight thing where basically she can't she has no peripheral vision where she has to look at something dead on straight forward. She can't like look left and right. Point being, her motion is her limits. She has limited eye motion. I guess she can only see so much. It's she's near blind. I guess in essence.
Yeah.
Essentially, what he did was basically she refused and he said, you know, you can't leave, because basically he locked down the doors of the building, and if she were to walk downstairs, she wouldn't be able to see.
Oh my God.
Creepy. I know there's a few stories in there like
Yikes.
that. Point being, Untouchable is riveting in terms of some horrific storytelling. I think the one thing that's kind of glaring, though, it's very obvious they couldn't get any of the. This is going to sound horrible anyway I put this. It's very obvious they couldn't get any of the major celebrities who came forward to be in this documentary. It's very
Oh
obvious.
God.
They do what they can, though. It's very well made, given like there are some obvious limitations with how much they can tell this story and how much they can get across. But I think it really comes across. It really comes together by the ending. It's a solid doc. I wouldn't recommend it super strongly, but it was solid enough. It was a fine watch.
All right. Okay, Dragon. Now we get to the big one, the one that you're dying to hear my opinions on.
Yes. I take it. So it's such. I hate it when they say movies coming out, then you reveal you learn the hard way that nope, it's a limited release. I learned this the hard way because I checked days and days before the movie, like hoping like, okay, maybe you just wait until the last minute to reveal when the show times are for my local theater. Never happens. Tell them the movie.
It's Judy.
Judy.
It's fine.
Really?
It's fine.
That trailer looked pretty good.
Dragon, this might be a subjectivity thing. God, I honestly found it boring. I really did. Like, don't get me wrong, Zellweger's performance is great, and it's kind of like Dragon. The closest comparison I can make for this movie is Darkest Hour, because I feel like this movie and Darkest Hour kind of have some of the same flaws and some of the same strengths. They both have main performances that are absolutely transformative. They also are just kind of dull, generally speaking, and they also have characters that may or may not have actually been in real life, just kind of like way too prominent in the movie. Dragon, my main issue with Judy, just as a movie, is the inclusion of this character who's basically Judy's secretary or personal assistant for the time that she's staying at this hotel doing the shows, you know, doing the concerts that she's doing. Dragon, oh my God, I can't even, like, Jesus Christ, let's not even. It's so. It weighs the movie down so much. It really does, Dragon. It's really a shame because I do not care about this woman at all. She doesn't exist in real life. I looked into it, and this movie wants us to care about her. It wants us to care about her having like a good relationship with Judy Garland, and like, oh, isn't the back and forth between like the young millennial and the cranky curmudgeonly Judy Garland, isn't that charming? Basically, it pulls one of the sins in biopics that I fucking can't stand, Dragon. And that's basically giving, like, essentially holding the audience's hand through a character that didn't exist in real life and basically having that character be the whole forefront of the movie and kind of the audience surrogate. Dragon, there's a reason why you didn't see this character at all in the trailer. It's because she's boring and she adds nothing to the movie, but she's in it. and she's in it a lot of the time. And of course, we have to have that moment near the end of the movie where she and Judy kind of exchange looks at each other like, yeah, we get each other. We're both strong, independent women. It just took us this long to realize it. It drives me fucking crazy, Dragon. It does. This movie, I want them to remake this movie with the same cast and just not have that character there. It's so frustrating to me because what we have is a really solid movie. We have we have Zellweger just kind of spiraling out of control, going on these drug binges and partying with these younger people and stuff. And we also have a flashback structure that could have worked really well. We see young Judy Garland on the Wizard of Oz set, and we see what led her to her drug addiction, the controlling mother, and all that. And that's all really good. Dragon, I'm telling you, it's just this personal assistant character. And also, I will say that the Judy Garland, I believe it's her fourth husband, is a main character in this movie as well. And he doesn't need to be there either, honestly. I mean, I can excuse him a little more because at least he's a character that wasn't made up for the movie. But honestly, Dragon, he's a character that contributes nothing to the story and just kind of like exists just to suck up screen time. This movie could have been a lean, mean 90-minute movie if you cut out those two characters. And instead, those two characters are in there, and it feels boring and dragged out as a result. It's really a shame, Dragon, because what is in the movie is good. It's just I can't call it a great movie just because I honestly felt bored by the stuff that I'm talking about right now. Like the husband character is basically just kind of he's just a really, really one-note character who's like, hey, what are you gonna do? I'm a Brooklyn, New Yorker, and I'm gonna treat my girl right. And it's just like the whole shtick of it is like, oh, he's this attractive younger man who's going out with Judy Garland, and they call attention to it every chance they get. And it's just like, all right, I get it. He's a young, handsome man, but he finds inner beauty within Judy Garland. I get it. You don't have to fucking hammer it home as much as they do. The whole movie just really, really suffers from kind of like that Bohemian Rhapsody syndrome of, just like, it feels like it's filled with cliches, Dragon. I mean, they did a great job with the trailer, but like I said, the trailer, not once do you see that personal assistant character who sucks up so much screen time. I don't know. I could totally see you watching this and being like, Tiki, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a great movie. But for me, it was honestly probably one of the biggest disappointments of the year. I just felt bored through large parts of it.
More disappointing than your son?
Yes.
Okay, no, I hear you. I did a little joke in there. Anyway.
I mean, by all means, check it out when you get a chance. I'm like, honestly, Dragon, out of all the movies that I've kind of been let down by this year, this might be one of the ones that has the best shot at you liking it while I don't. So, because it is, like I said, the personal assistant character is a very specific reason why I don't like this movie. And if the personal assistant character just doesn't bother you, then you might like this movie just fine. So it's kind of a taste thing.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wait for it, but we'll see how it goes.
Wait for it. Sorry, Hamilton joke.
Anyway. All right, so this brings us to, yes, In the Shadow of the Moon.
Yeah, tell me about this one. It has an intriguing title.
This was kind of the highlight of the month, I gotta be honest. In the Shadow of the Moon, it's a Netflix movie. It's kind of a great sci-fi mystery. It's really solid. There's this time-traveling killer. It's kind of a time-traveling, kind of a serial killer, I guess. It's kind of the sellable piece. They call it a serial killer. It's a time-traveling killer. We have the movie stars Boyd Holbrook. Remember Donald from Logan, the guy with the robot hand.
Yeah.
You have him, and you have Michael C. Hall. Michael C. Hall is his brother-in-law. So basically, it starts in 1988, and it's basically kind of this Philly cop who gets obsessed with the case of this killer who essentially he gives chase to this killer. And all of this unfolds on his daughter's birthday, and basically every year, every 9 years, the killer reemerges. The killer reemerges and is killing people, and basically he becomes kind of paranoid and becomes completely obsessed. And we check in with him every 9 years in the future, going from 1988. Because the case does have a deep kind of personal connect to a moment.
So 1988 to like current day 2019.
It goes even further, yeah.
Oh wow, huh?
Goes to the future, yeah.
Interesting.
It is really interesting. It's also really small and really focused in the scope. It's like, okay, it's like every time we check in, it's like basically like the week.
Oh, I like that. Dragon, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like it has a Steve Jobs kind of structure to it.
Well, again, because it's good. It's a little bit more than 3 in that case, but yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's only difference is sometimes I think you see basically you build up in some cases. I think more towards the end you build up to the day where you know something's going to happen, but for the most part, it's like every instinct is the day of. So it's pretty much that. I think there's like maybe one exception or two, or it's maybe like the day before and then the day. So point being, these events happen at the same time every 9 years. So it is very, and of course the guy becomes more and more obsessed as his life keeps getting more and more upturned every encounter. So that's the thing. It's very kind of Travelers. I've recommended you ad nauseum Travelers on Netflix. It very much is a unique time travel premise, kind of like the Travelers. Not the same thing, but it's kind of Netflix playing with time travel in a really interesting way yet again. So I'd highly recommend. It feels like a novel being adapted into a movie. Bear in mind, I really don't think there's a novel being adapted there. It feels really interesting. So I'd highly recommend it. Okay.
All right, and the last one, folks, we saved the best for last. It's Tall Girl.
So Honey Lemon finally got a movie on Netflix, didn't she? Good for her.
Oh, Dragon, this movie, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but let's just say it scratched my bad movie itch, Dragon. It really did. It really did, man. This movie's fucking ridiculous in all the right ways. I mean, first of all, it's completely morally reprehensible. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the irony of the fact that like this is like the most first world problems main character of like, oh boo hoo, literally every male character in this movie besides my dad wants to like me, and yet somehow woe is me because I'm tall and unattractive. Dragon, you know where this movie's set for all these first world problems to occur?
Where?
Fucking New Orleans.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I really hope the irony of that is not lost on the filmmakers. Oh, man. I mean, Dragon, just the main character herself is honestly, I think, going to be a future fucking icon of bad movies. I really do. Because she is just the most fucking selfish, morally reprehensible, unpleasant person in just a very entertainingly passive-aggressive way. And I don't know. And honestly, Dragon, I don't want to sit here and analyze the whole plot or anything, but let's just say, like, she doesn't end up with the guy that it feels like she should end up with. And it just kind of like the movie takes a dramatic left turn. Like we're following this honestly kind of charming foreign exchange student guy named Stieg. And I like Stieg, Dragon. Stieg is probably the funnest character in the whole this kind of like blonde, Herculean guy. And Stieg's whole gimmick is that, oh, in Sweden, everyone is big and blonde and beautiful. So I was a loser in Sweden. But now these girls like me and I don't know what to do about it. So I don't know. I like that character, genuinely.
So essentially, he's like the school-bred guy's nephew.
Yeah, right. But then, yes. But then we have this guy Dunkelman, and Dragon Dunkelman is basically kind of like a try-hard stalker type character who has been friends with Tall Girl for 7 years, and he's like trying to get with her, and he's kind of like one of those characters that feels a little uncomfortable in today's climate because he just can't take no for an answer, and he's actively trying to sabotage her relationships to get with her. And somehow by the end of this movie, the lovable Swedish guy becomes the villain in like the last 10 minutes, and then Tall Girl ends up with creepy stalker guy.
Well, I gotta be honest, Tiki. I kind of saw that coming from the trailer alone because it's like, no, she can't end up with the other tall guy because that's too easy. She has to end up with the short guy who wants to be with her.
But the other tall guy is much more pleasant, though.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that from the trailers.
Okay, my favorite part about this stalker guy, Dragon. So at the beginning of the movie, it's set up like, oh, Dunkelman carries all his books in a milk crate, and I don't know why. Dragon, I want you to guess as to why Dunkelman carries all his books in a milk crate. Think long and hard about it.
He doesn't have a backpack.
No.
He stole the milk crate.
No. One more try.
He's poor?
No.
I gotta know.
It's because when he kisses Tall Girl, he wants to be able to stand on it to kiss her.
Oh God. I don't know why I didn't guess that, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, Dragon, suffice to say, I did enjoy myself watching Tall Girl. It was a very fun bad movie. It scratched that bad movie itch that I have from time to time. I'm glad I watched it. Is it a good movie? Fuck no. But it's a fun movie.
God. Anyway.
All right.
All
right, so let's talk about, let's switch gears. We're kind of sandwiching this in the middle of our September stuff and our catch up because, it's not quite TV, it's not quite a movie. We're going to talk about a couple stand-up specials. And Dragon, let's start with a stand-up special that has gotten no controversy at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, Sticks and Stones. Oh, boy. Now, Dragon, I criticized this special, but I didn't criticize it for the reason everyone else is criticizing it. I just think that Dave's delivery was a little bit off. Like he doesn't have that same kind of manic energy that he usually has. He's a lot more road weary in this, but for good reason. The whole special does feel road weary. So, what do you think of it?
Well, so bear in mind, I'm not a huge Chappelle guy.
This is not a good introductory special for Dave Chappelle.
And then I've seen Chappelle in a few things. I'm nowhere near as experienced with the Chappelle show. I watched the Wayne Brady sketch.
Oh man, you could totally binge Chappelle show.
My point is,
it's only 2 seasons long. It's very bingeable.
Really, it's only 2 seasons?
Yeah.
I assumed 4. Okay.
No.
All right. Anyway, point being,
2 seasons and then a series of lost episodes that made up season 3. What would have been season 3?
I did check in with more Chappelle with comedians in cars getting coffee.
Nice.
I did. He was there. That's the thing. So I got to tell you, I got something similar from you, Tig, in that I think he's really wizened. He exudes a little bit of a wizened thing than the usual manic energy that he's kind of known for. That again, I've glimpsed here and there with a little bit of the Chappelle show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a little more wise and maybe a bit calculating of a Dave Chappelle. This is a guy with a plan for the stand-up versus kind of a more I'm going to see how it just takes me, kind of like the next gen Eddie Murphy, one could say, like the way Chappelle used to be.
Right.
But he's basically what he's doing. He's holding a mirror up to kind of the overly sensitive times that we found ourselves in. I think I gotta admit though, he's really going for it. I don't disagree. I respect what he's doing here. With he starts talking about a man's suicide, making light of it, and then he gets to let's see, kind of the Michael Jackson affair of it all. Basically, he's commenting on kind of the news headlines that have unfolded. And again, I respect some of them. I think
he dwells a little bit too much on the Michael Jackson stuff.
He does, and I saw that documentary, so I know what he's talking about. But that's the thing. I think he's going a little far. He's going a little far with a few things. I don't fault what he's saying. I kind of respect him for going that far. It is funny. I can't take anything away from that. It's really gutsy. It's really gutsy. I love how he calls out the surviving R. Kelly documentary. Not that he's saying it's untrue, but the fact that he's saying that the thing that is untrue is that how Dave Chappelle's kind of his name's thrown around. Like Dave Chappelle says, this is it's too hot for TV. Of course, he makes it bluntly clear that I never said that. And I love that. It's hysterical. It's just wonderful.
All right.
I mean, here's the one thing with the performance, though, is that basically on the whole, I think it was fine. Not as good as some of the other stuff we're going to be getting to here. I will say this, though. I love how he talked about the Kevin Hart affair. That was really great. But I don't know why he has to run and sing now and again. It's kind of weird to me. He's always going to run around and he's just like singing a few words just randomly. That to me is a little weird. I think it's just
That
mean
is not part of his usual shtick.
really, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yes, it's really out of left. I thought it was going to be part of his shtick that he does, but no,
No, no.
I think it's just really weird. He just keeps running after punchlines, run around, and then he'll just at times like sing, and there's
I
nothing
mean,
to do
Dragon,
with
that's one of
anything.
the reasons why I feel like this special is off. But like I said, I'm not saying it's off for any political
Yeah.
reasons. I'm just saying it's off just in terms of like performance,
Basically,
especially because I've studied some of those old specials. Like Dragon, I pretty much have Dave Chappelle for what it's worth memorized, like all 50 minutes of it.
see, to me, he
For
can
what
go
it's
with,
worth is where we get. I don't know if you've heard the Kool-Aid monologue before,
I have not.
or the I'm sorry, the grape juice monologue.
I know it's a thing. I haven't listened to it though. No.
The thing where they reference the purple stuff from
Oh,
the Sunny D commercial.
oh, that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I want the purple stuff. That one. Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. So at the end of the day, I think with stand-up comedy, you can go as far as you want so long as it's funny, and I think he does that here. Where again, he's going far. I mean, is he going? Is he taking some chances? Sure. Do they hit the mark? They do. So it's fine.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at on. Anyways, let's talk about something I think universally was better received than Sticks and Stones. Let's talk about Bill Burr, Paper Tiger.
I mean, Drake, I got to admit, at this point, Bill Burr specials are running together, but not because they're not memorable, but just because I feel like all of Bill Burr's specials, the man's just on fire. Like I feel like this is a guy who can't produce a bad special, Dragon.
I hear
I
you.
really do. So like for that reason, it's hard for me to like pick out any particular special that he's done because honestly, they're all just so rapid fire funny.
Bill Burr is such a great stand-up. He really is. He's so angrily charged, but what I love more so just kind of the energy and like of course the thing we know like Frank Murphy on F is for Family 4, of course, is the anger and just kind of the rantiness of that character, which of course because stems from Bill Burr. What's really great about Bill Burr though is the fact I just love how he just calls people out on hypocrisy. It's my favorite part about Bill Burr. He's just like basically he's kind of doing what Chappelle did, but again, he's basically Bill Burr like from the start. He's like saying, look. I love how humble and honest he is in his comedy style. Just saying, guys, I don't know anything about anything, but let me tell you something. He just kind of goes on and basically calling out like feminists and especially male feminists and the Me Too movement and everything. And basically how kind of how the Me Too movement it kind of tapered off. That's what I love about it. He's being really honest. Where it hit you with the hard stuff at first. It was like, oh god, these are monsters. We gotta do something about these guys. And then and of course it kind of tapers off. Where now we're just looking at everything. Now he's putting everything under a microscope. He's mocking it. And of course he's gonna. It's just I don't know. Bill Burr he's really clever and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is yet another slam dunk. But you're right, they do kind of run together, but it's basically just this is the most timely of the Bill Burr stand-up specials. It's basically the most current, but again, it's like always like you can go back to the old ones, get the same effect of oh man, that Bill Burr's great. But what's great though, if you look at all the stand-up specials, there is an arc where again now he's married with a kid, so there's kind of an arc of him dating, thinking about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of a neat thing about the Bill Burr specials. There again, looking at these, he's really been sticking with the bald head. I do wonder if he's probably gonna have to wear a wig for Better Call Saul once they do get him in, like, put a hat on him or something.
Dragon, I'm holding out hope that one of the reasons why Better Call Saul season 5 was delayed is to get Bill Burr.
Again, if they're doing at least 2 more seasons, he's got to be in one of those seasons. They're either doing a big 5th season or 2 seasons. I don't know. They got to put him in one.
Yeah.
All right. All right, and last one of the stand-up specials, Jeff Dunham's new special. Jeff Dunham beside himself.
Yeah, I'm not a big Dunham guy, so you can take the lead on this. I don't know. I honestly like puppet comedians are. It's a weird kind of gray area, Dragon, because I love puppetry, I love stand-up comedy, but when you have a stand-up comic whose main gimmick is puppets. I feel like the guy's personality tends to get lost in the shuffle, and then the puppeteer's like top 1 or 2 most popular puppets kind of just rise to the mainframe, and everything else just kind of gets lost. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are. I don't fully agree, but you are making sense.
All right. I will say that Puppet Up might be the best like mix of, stage comedy and puppetry that I've ever seen.
Well, while we are kind of tossing around the puppet thing, you're not wrong. Is that there's also, again, it's kind of technically ventriloquism, and I'm saying there's a difference where Puppet Up is all puppets, and that's kind of a different ball game. This it's very much he's very much kind of playing with some of the old. We're taking the old ventriloquism routines, but we're kind of jazzing over, making them kind of different. That's kind of what really kind of has risen Jeff Dunham to the top, where he's kind of done new things with ventriloquism. He's really kind of made it kind of like a new kind of show-stopping kind of thing these days.
Okay.
Where it's basically Jeff Dunham. I'm a fan of the specials. I'll admit I think some are better than others. Let me put it this way: his last Netflix special, it didn't really wow me. Basically that was the one about he had kids recently. Basically, we continue that kind of track here with him. He's had twin boys. He basically used to have 3 daughters and a wife, but who then divorced him, which he's a little bitter about. And that kind of works its way into the stand-up, as you'd imagine. But he's found love. He's remarried, and he has twin boys now. So again, things are going great for Jeff Dunham right now. Is my point. So I think this turned out a lot better than the previous special. I think we're a little lowbrow in the opening. Traditionally, what happens is Jeff does an opening where he does like an opening monologue as himself, where you get a feel for who he is. And then, of course, usually it's about the back and forth between him and the dummies. That's usually what the whole act is. And I think the opening's a little lowbrow. It's basically about how he got pink eye, and he got pink eye because of his kids. Let's say it's kind of a little lowbrow with how he got that. So it's I didn't need that. Maybe it's not his best opening. I think he's had great openings, and this was not one of his best openings. But everything else, though, the act was great. He kind of brought back Jose Jalapeno on a stick. You know anything about this guy, Jose Jalapeno?
I can't say I don't really follow his characters.
Point being, a Hispanic, he's a jalapeno. He's from Mexico. He's on a stick, and that's kind of the gag. He just ends a lot of things with on a stick. It's kind of his. Okay. Point being, he and the character Peanut is one of his main, probably most popular character next to Ahmed, the dead terrorist. Peanut. He and Peanut used to be kind of a duo, where basically he would pull out Peanut, and then he would get Jose, and the two of them would bounce off of each other really well. But for a while now, Jose's kind of disappeared from the act. And Jose's come back, and they kind of there's a political undertone to things here, and I like that Jeff Dunham doesn't get offensively political. He doesn't do offensively political humor because he's going back to Dallas, Texas, where he's from in this special, and of course there's going to be a large portion of the crowd that they might lean a little. Point being, you're going to have various diverse political beliefs, especially in Dallas. Is my point. So he doesn't want to offend anyone. He doesn't want to get people in an uproar. He want to know your crowd. So again, he doesn't do anything offensively politically. Basically, if he mentions the president, of course, but he doesn't say that he's not getting mean political. He's just pointing out, the guy's crazy. We all know he's a little nutty. Whether you love him nutty or whether it's scary nutty, that's your call. That's your personal beliefs, whatever. I will say this though, he did one thing I think was a mistake. He did a character that's based off the political stuff. He did a new character, Larry, the advisor to the president. Now, here's the thing: it's not for the reason you think, though. I know that, grown. It's not for that reason. It's not the political humor. My problem is Larry's kind of a carbon copy of Peanut. That's my problem with it.
Okay.
See, it's not the humor is fine. The idea is a crazy, overstressed guy who has to deal with all the stuff Trump says. But again, it's not about what your leaning is towards Trump. About a guy dealing with a president who's very vocal. So you have that, but he's stealing all the shtick from Peanut. He sounds pretty much like Peanut, but it's not Peanut. It sounds like it's a knockoff of a character. It's a better character. That to me how do we not see any of that coming? That's my real question.
Right.
It's literally the same character, just the different skin on the guy. Practically, I don't know. Again, at the point being, it was solid enough, but maybe a few things I'd alter if it were me. Okay.
Right. Okay, so it's time to do some catch-up, Dragon. I've been kind of teasing this up, but I did, in fact, watch a movie on a plane. I downloaded it off of Amazon Prime. And let's see, I'll give you a hint, Dragon. Jon Favreau is involved.
Chef?
Yeah, Chef, yep.
Chef!
Yeah.
All right, Chef's good. What'd you think?
I really liked it, Dragon, and this movie is delightful. It's just as delightful as I thought it would be. I mean, it's one of those movies where I don't know why I haven't checked it out yet. It's pretty much right up my alley. I love how low scale it is compared to like all the epic stuff that Jon Favreau is doing nowadays. Like, for better or for worse, Mandalorian probably for the better, Lion King for the worst.
Yeah.
But this is just very modest, like Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau directing right here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love the relationship he has with his son. I find that very relatable. Of course, as a foodie man, this movie, it's great, but when you're on a plane and you haven't eaten all day and you know that the only thing you're going to eat the rest of the day is In-N-Out, this movie was kind of torture.
Tell me, what'd you think of Oliver Platt's character, the food critic?
He's great. He's great. He's fun.
Yeah.
I'd say my favorite side character is probably John Leguizamo.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like this movie definitely makes me want to try a Cuban sandwich. I'll say that much.
Don't they call it Cubano? Is that what the...
Yeah, Cubano. Yeah.
Exactly. Nice Cubano.
You know what my favorite little bit in this whole movie is, Dragon? It's a tiny detail, but I love it so much.
What was it?
It's when Favreau's making his son a grilled cheese sandwich, but he's like making the perfect grilled cheese sandwich. It's like I love this idea of like this character who, like, even in his day-to-day, like even the most mundane cooking, he can't help but be just an uber professional about it. That's so fun. Of course, we get a lot of fun stuff with the food truck. If I were to have one critique about it, I would say that the food truck kind of comes a little too late in the movie's runtime, considering it's one of the main selling points of the movie, and we really only get it for the last third of the movie, I would say. But, it's still fun. It's still very enjoyable. I'd say it's probably a solid, like, 8 out of 10 movie for me. I enjoyed it quite a lot, and it was a good build up to a vacation. So, yeah.
All
right, hit me.
Okay, I'm going to rapid fire a few of these, mainly the first two, because you already watched them. Per your recommendation, I actually watched 2 things you threw my way. I checked out Screwball.
Yes.
Screwball, of course, about Dr. Tony Bosch and the A-Rod scandal. Basically, the idea of like an anti-aging guy went into the doping business for ball players. Kind of a sporty piece. But I love the comedy of errors story, the way that unfolds. I really liked this one. I did. It's very fun. The kid device, it grows on you over time. The idea of using the kids, it's kind of funny, but it's fine.
I think it kind of wears on itself over time. Honestly, I kind of feel the opposite, Dragon. Like when it first started, I was like, oh, okay, that's clever and different. But then by the end of the movie, I'm like, all right, this is like whatever.
I'm just kind of used to it, so I don't really. Get kind of used to it, so you don't really mind. Because again, I like the storytelling and just the fact of like, okay, well, it's through the kids, but still, it's a compelling story, so I'm hooked into it already. So, all right. Then we get to Jack of All Trades. The Jack of All Trades as the other baseball-related movie.
I like this one a lot more than I liked Screwball.
Yeah, Screwball's a lot of fun though. That's the thing. But
it is.
Jack of All Trades you're right, is the more compelling story. It's a relatable story for me here, where you have basically this is a story of let me put it this way. It's so this is the story of a kid whose father walked out on him, but left him these baseball cards and essentially kind of hooked him on the thing. And of course, as it goes on, we basically it's kind of it's a collector's tragedy. That's the best way I could describe this story. It's a collector's tragedy in that you have this poor kid whose father walked out on him, and he has these items that you think he might be able to cash in, and he basically learns the hard way about essentially the collector stock market crash. Which every comic, I know the comic stock market crashed better, but I would imagine something similar, based on what the movie has, kind of happened with the collector's market for baseball cards as well. Where not every card's as valuable as you think it is, and basically
I can relate to it on the basis of Pokemon cards.
Exactly. There's always the point is every market of collectors kind of has a similar kind of crash of some sort, where there's an overproduction or.
Of course, I lived through Beanie Babies. Like my mom was into it, not me, but I definitely have memories of the Beanie Baby craze.
Exactly, another prime example of it, right there. Yeah, the big.
I still want that Ty Warner biopic, Dragon. I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
I hear you.
It'd be fascinating.
It would be. So I mean, I gotta tell you, because of that stuff, it kind of hit me in some familiar places about being on the floor, and especially in kind of like the card game of it all. Because for me, it was Yu-Gi-Oh cards, not Pokemon cards. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
like kind of that, basically kind of
Blue
that.
Eyes White Dragon.
Yep, yep. Anyway, point being, the point being, yeah, it's a solid piece. It gets really heartfelt, and I love this whole like you basically trade up for a new family. I think it's so perverse with the whole jack of all trades, and the father's name's Jack. It's like it's fascinating, really good. So jack of all trades is a solid piece, more with a touching one than Screwball is for sure. But two solid, kind of sports related documentaries for sure.
All right.
And we get some two I've been meaning to get to for a while now. So one is We Are Columbine. Now I meant to get to this one last month, but I was going to add it to like the recent releases until I realized this came out months ago this year, so it wouldn't have fit there. So anyway, so I figured I'd use it for catch up here because I was a little low on things. So We Are Columbine. Essentially, it's not what I expected. I expected like a recapping of the day and all the stuff that happened. We kind of have that, but it's more about we have survivors from Columbine sitting down telling their stories, kind of in the Untouchable style, like from earlier, but yeah, not as footage reliant. And I kind of like the footage reliant element of Untouchable. We Are Columbine. It's a fine movie. It's more about the aftermath. The aftermath quality, really, I think that's the strength of the movie. It's talking about like we know what happened in Columbine, and basically you can only retell that so many times, and we hear from the victims, basically the climate about what happened, and basically what it was like being in the trenches of what was happening, where you think one thing's happening, then like there's a bomb under your table, that sort of stuff,
Right.
And there's some really interesting parts of that movie, but it really gets interesting where we get to the point of like what happened after Columbine, where you're still at this school, where again you have to go back to school, after a while. And how do you do that? Like the rules have completely changed. Like there's metal detectors now. There's there's a whole basically there's this thing about a food fight. Things went really south during a food fight, where basically that's what I'm talking about. Like everyone's on edge, and everyone's really like they got rid of. Let me tell you this. There's a one bit that kind of haunts me from We Are Columbine. It really fascinates me. It's this bit where they got rid of every reminder of what the school used to be after that happened. Like they changed the alarm sound, like the fire alarm, basically, like the the shooter on campus alert, essentially.
Oh, wow.
Because again, like people wouldn't be reminded. They changed the sound of the fire alarm so people wouldn't be freaked out whenever they heard it. Like those little details. That's the interesting thing about this movie, and the whole title is about the call of the school used to be "We Are Columbine." That used to be kind of the pep rally kind of call of the school, so to speak. And it's kind of like recontextualized it. This is like kind of our summoning of strength after the tragedy that we experienced. We are Columbine, as in Columbine isn't. We're not defining it by this one terrible event. We're defining it by us collectively surviving the event. So it's kind of it's a more uplifting version of what you'd expect from a Columbine documentary. Simply put, it was surprising.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get to one I've been dying to watch. If I was given a chance to, Pavarotti. So this is a documentary they kind of teased up this year. It kind of was released during the film festival circuit. This was a Ron Howard documentary. A documentary on Pavarotti, of course. Pavarotti, Luciano Pavarotti, the great opera singer, one of my favorites in terms of the opera scene. I love me some Pavarotti, man. I do. I was so sold on this thing. A lot of people are really harsh on this movie. Basically, I think the documentary snobs are really harsh on this movie. Of course, we are kind of the documentary snobs, so take a case in point. My point is, we've been spoiled by documentaries, namely, Won't You Be My Neighbor? We have.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the next Won't You Be My Neighbor? No. But what bothers me is that it could have been, so I kind of hear the criticism that it's not as ambitious as it should be, but it's informative.
Yeah.
It's informative. There's not much of an emotional through line. I mean, you kind of see the ending. You get to see like the life and death of the man. The death isn't like a huge sticking point, but we kind of get there. And there's some interesting stuff along the way. It's just not really like a huge narrative piece. Just more of like, hey, there's Pavarotti, and we see you get to live in what kind of guy Pavarotti was. And Pavarotti was an interesting guy. He was just this really pure, lovable guy. He was, he was swell. He was always happy, very trusting of people. Just a lovely man overall, with a beautiful singing voice that people would sell out crowds to see the man. Of course, they play a lot of the great music of Pavarotti. My favorite being Nessun Dorma. That's the whole, it's the. Remember in Daredevil when the King in season one of Daredevil where Kingpin's men are his whole empire is being arrested by the FBI and taken down.
Yep.
That song right there. Of course, I guess the better example is in the Upside, the big song of the Upside.
Oh yeah.
So I love that song. And the point is, it's. Let me put it this way: I feel for me one of the best parts of the movie is his deathbed moment. Really hit me when he's on his deathbed. This is a man who, throughout his whole career, he never listened to his own performances until the very end, and he actually has this great response where he says something along the lines of, "Huh, I was pretty good. I was pretty good." Like, man, that's like Pavarotti's a great subject, man. He's awesome.
All right.
All right.
Okay, well that concludes our movie memoirs for September. The only thing we have left to talk about is the October lineup, which is already looking a lot more promising than September for sure. Of course, we're starting Dragon. You and I both have tickets. We're doing Joker.
Yes, we do.
I want to make a joke about it, but I'm not going to.
That's a good idea. Anyway.
Okay, on October 11th, we have Gemini Man, which seems like a very bad career move for Will Smith. It seems like another After Earth. It's got a 33 on Metacritic, Dragon. Not good.
Has some cool action in the trailer, I'll give it that much.
And Ang Lee's a respectable director, so I don't really know what wrong there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Addams Family is a movie I will 99% check out when it comes out. I'm not a huge fan of the Addams Family. Honestly, the Addams Family musical is probably the worst stage play I've ever seen, if I'm being totally frank. But and in terms of the TV shows, I've always very much been a Munsters guy over an Addams Family guy. But still, I always respect anything in the animation industry, and Oscar Isaac as Gomez Adams is pretty good casting, so I'll give it a shot.
I love the Addams Family movie. I really do. I mean, Raul Julia is just he's sublime.
The Addams Family movie is definitely the best representation of the characters, I think.
It is great. I honestly I don't know if I'm gonna be seeing the movie. Basically, if I see it, I'm not gonna be setting out to see it. But if I luck into seeing it, I might. I gotta tell you, it's I'll eventually watch it. I don't know if I'm gonna see it in theaters or not.
I think the marketing has just kind of been okay, honestly.
I gotta tell you, part of me, just based on the marketing, kind of makes me wonder if it would have been better if it were stop motion. That would have been a better sell for it.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
All
right, let's see. And then on October 18th, we have a bunch of stuff coming out on October 18th.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to mention one that's not going to be on your list. Wonder Woman Bloodlines, the next animated entry in the DC animated original universe. We'll see how that is, fingers crossed. What I'm more excited by is they announced what the next movie is going to be, I think coming out next year.
Okay.
Superman Red Sun. That's cool. It's really good. Okay.
All right, so this is probably going to be the only movie by Disney that flops this year. For the life of me, I can't see this movie doing well. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
Yeah.
Is anyone looking forward to this thing?
Because someone's saying we need more Maleficent in the world after that first movie. Someone's saying, I want to see Angelina Jolie with horns on her head. Darn it.
But honestly, by and large, I think the marketing for this next one has been super shitty as well, and I feel like it's kind of a too little, too late scenario. We've got Zombieland Double Tap, which I also think is probably going to flop. I really do, just because it's been way too long since the first movie.
I will be seeing it though.
I'm skeptical about it just because sequels to comedies are not. They don't have a great track record, Dragon.
Reese and Warnick sold me, man. I'm going to see it's getting the band back together. I'm fingers crossed. We'll see.
All right. Jojo Rabbit. I definitely am looking forward to that for sure. Dragon, it's got a 53% Metascore, and I think probably the reason is because it's Hitler. It's Hitler, and I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I don't know. I think Jojo Rabbit looks super creative, and the Hitler thing is like just an awesome kind of like idea for kind of like a child to deal with World War II given the circumstances.
You know,
So,
in retrospect, they probably should have released this in springtime.
oh god. Here's a movie that I am praying comes to my theater, Dragon. The Lighthouse. Do you know anything about this?
You're gonna have to remind me. I don't think I do.
Okay, this is a black and white movie. It's directed by the guy who did The Witch back in, I believe, 2017. And it's basically Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson as lighthouse guards who slowly go crazy from isolation.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dragon, it's getting a lot of buzz. They're saying potentially Best Picture, Dafoe potentially Best Actor. And of course, I feel like it's going to be another thing that's going to prove what Robert Pattinson worthy of the bat cowl.
I can see it now. You know what's going to happen? People are going to see this movie and they're going to come out. They're going to say, "We have our new Batman and Joker. Defoe should be the Joker."
God. But yeah, I can't wait for The Lighthouse. Like I said, that's honestly one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. And I really, really hope that it comes out in my area. Speaking of movies that I hope come out in my area, it's not coming to San Francisco, unfortunately, but Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
I will be
really
seeing
hope
this.
to see this.
I
will
be
you
seeing
really?
This one. Yes.
Not with Kevin Smith, right?
No, not that. Here's the thing that comes to my. They do that thing next year, but I want to see the movie, presently. So I'll be seeing. I got a Fathom event on that one. I'll be seeing.
Oh,
that this month.
nice, cool.
So you have
Hopefully
no
I'll get
Fathom
a
look
Fathom
on
event as well.
All right.
All right. Also, Dragon, this is kind of bizarre. I'm just kind of stumbling upon it. We have a movie called Witness for the Prosecution, and the description is a veteran lawyer must defend a man in what promises to be the most dramatic trial of his career. Dragon, here's the bizarre thing about it. There's no poster, but it's apparently directed by Ben Affleck and stars Ben Affleck.
Huh.
Isn't that weird? That there's like a new Ben Affleck movie apparently that it's just the buzz on it is just nothing. It doesn't even have a poster.
I really just I want to see him make that. I want to see him make the McDonald's movie. Remember the whole Monopoly McDonald's and make the McNopoly movie.
And then honestly, Dragon, the month kind of comes down to a close in kind of a weird sort of like, I don't know. Let's just say the last week of October doesn't really look very exciting. We have we have Black and Blue, which is an action thriller about a rookie cop who inadvertently captures the murder of a young drug dealer on her body cam. After realizing the murder was committed by corrupt cops, she teams up with the one person in the community willing to help her. I don't know. Sounds like an interesting premise. Could be good, but also kind of sounds like a little bit of a throwaway action movie.
Any star power?
Naomi Harris. Let's see. Frank Grillo.
Oh, Frank Grillo. I love Frank Grillo.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, Mike Coulter. Shit.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm guessing that Mike Coulter is. Well, no. Tyrese Gibson is the friend who's helping her. So we might have another situation. We also had this in Girl Trip, where Mike Coulter plays the villain, and yet he's just fucking Luke Cage, so I'm not going to be able to buy him as a dirty cop. I'm especially not going to be able to buy Luke Cage as a dirty cop, Dragon.
Well, I remember the last time I saw Mike Coulter appear, he appeared, here's the thing, so one, Mike Coulter has a new show on now called Evil. Do you see anything about that?
Oh, yes. Oh, I know all about Evil because I watch CBS for Survivor, so yes.
Anyway, so I've seen him in Evil. It's kind of in its infancy. He hasn't done anything major quite yet, but he seems interesting enough. But remember the last movie we've seen him in was that whole, like the kid falls through the ice movie and he saves him. It's that whole, it was really.
Wait, what?
Do you remember that? You didn't see the trailer for there's this movie where Mike Coulter plays a paramedic that saves a kid who falls through the ice. And it's this really stupid looking movie where I think it's
That
based
does
on.
not sound familiar to me.
I think it's based on a true story. I think they have
kind of like vaguely like 127 hours.
They have no. It's not Tiki. It's not as entertaining as that sounds. It's really just like a kid falls through the ice. Mike Coulter is one of the medics that saves him. He's in a hospital. He's in a coma. It's a coma movie, it's a coma movie, and basically the character from the lady from This Is Us is like the mom, and she's like they're all praying for him. That's the gag. It's a very the point being it didn't look that good, and just poor Mike Coulter's like, oh man, why couldn't we just give him more season? Why couldn't we give him more work on Netflix? Darn it!
Probably because Luke Cage season 2 was bad.
Oh, that's not why. Anyway, Buster Brown. Right. Let's move on.
Then also, looks like the last one worth noting for the month. It seems like it's the resident horror movie for Halloween, which sounds pretty damn lame, Dragon. It's called Countdown, and the premise is when a nurse downloads an app that claims to predict the moment a person will die, it tells her she only has 3 days to live. With the clock ticking down and a figure haunting her, she must find a way to save her life before time runs out. I don't know. I probably won't be seeing that. Go ahead.
I'm going to pitch you a better version of that movie based on the title alone for Halloween, okay?
Okay.
So it's basically we're following a vampire and he's a count, of course, because most vampires are counts, at least historically. And the count is being hunted by a Van Helsing type, or maybe Van Helsing himself. And of course, it's like countdown.
Oh God!
The count is down essentially, so that's what you get. It's like a matter of time. It's like a dangerous game situation where Van Helsing is hunting the vampire, and it was a countdown till the count goes down. Boom! There you go. Tell me, would you like to see that movie or the one that you described?
Probably that movie, honestly. Okay. But yeah, in October, Dragon, I gotta say my most anticipated is definitely The Lighthouse. I can't wait to see that.
For me, it's most anticipated. Jay and Silent Bob as well as the Joker, probably.
I mean, the Joker comes out tomorrow, so I can't say that's really.
Well, tomorrow is October, though.
Right. Anyways, okay, so let's quickly wind out with best and worst. What do you got?
All right. Again, bear in mind, folks, it's very skimpy, but I guess best in regards to the movies. I mean, it's between Scooby-Doo and The Shadow of the Moon. I think I'm probably going to have to go with The Shadow of the Moon. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Worst, I mean, again, only by process of elimination, really. It's probably untouchable, but it's not bad. It's just, it's low. It's the bottom of the totem pole of 3 totems. Right. So, I mean, there's that. I guess, okay, you want to go next with your...
Yeah, sure. Best, I'm going to have to go It Chapter 2. Honestly, like, Bill Hader is just kind of like carrying that movie on his back. And then worst, Dragon, I hate to do it, but it's got to be Judy. I feel like Judy, like I said, there's a very solid movie in there, but it just gets hampered by, frankly, straight up characters that don't need to be in the movie. And I don't know. I think you might watch it and get a different read on it. But yeah, for me, that was definitely the movie that I was the most bored by this month for sure.
Yeah, regard the catch-up.
I mean, look, is Tall Girl a better movie on Judy on a fundamental level? God, no. But, Tall Girl, I definitely had a lot more fun watching. All right.
Yes, in regard to ketchup, you don't really have much to...
No, that's the chef. I mean, yeah.
I mean, for me, I like the baseball documentaries. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think they came out the best. But I mean, I do like the Pavarotti thing. Pavarotti thing was a feel-good piece. I'm probably going to say that is the best.
Okay.
Nothing really bad. I guess We Are Calling just wasn't what I expected. Doesn't mean it's bad though.
It's kind of sounds terrible to call a documentary like that. Oh, it's the worst.
I'm saying because it's not. It's it's not.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, folks, we've waxed on long enough. It's time to put the pen down.
And down.
Until next time, when we return for another fitting chapter in our
Movie
movie
memoirs.
memoirs. Georgie.
Georgie.